Welcome back to the Freaky Deaky.
Here we are.
Talking about something a little different this week. Haunted sports.
Haunted sports.
Haunted sports. Christian, you put this episode together for us.
I think I was reading about some hockey story, and I'm like, let me just check this out. And it came up with some interesting little hauntings.
Nice.
Different types in different areas.
Yeah. So buckle up for riding that pine.
Yeah. Even if you don't like sports, there's ghost.
Yeah. Why don't you take up some space on that bench? We'll see you on the inside. You are now entering the realm of the Freaky Deaky, an unsuspecting stop at the crossroads of fantasy and reality, where the frayed edges of make-believe seep into this cookie-cutter white picket world you've been led to believe is far from extraordinary. What you're about to hear are true stories.
Alleged true stories.
Christian, just... okay? Tales of the strange and inexplicable thought only to exist in film and folklore. Although difficult to accept, we do not know everything about this reality, about time or space, what lies beneath the ocean's depths. And try though we might, the unchanging truth remains. There are some things we legitimately cannot explain logically. Welcome back to the Freaky Deaky. If you are new to the show, please take a moment out of your time. Rate it 5 stars. You know, we're really trying to outwit these algorithms. We're trying to spread the show a little bit more. If you leave a typed review, something that says, this show's dope, or Scott is the best looking man on the planet, anything works really. Those are just solid examples for you to use. If you're on social media, be sure to find us at Freaky Deaky Pod on Facebook and Instagram and YouTube, where you can find bonus stories posted occasionally throughout. Episode previews, the like, some interesting shorts.
I was going to tell you about my interesting shorts.
I'd prefer not to hear about it. So I think that's pretty much all of it. Christian, maybe we should dive into some haunted sports.
We will.
Maybe we should get some interesting shorts on haunted sports.
We gotcha.
More at 11.
All right, we're going to start off at Camp Randall Stadium in Madison, Wisconsin.
What a place to start.
Yep.
Grab some cheese blocks, folks.
I love cheese. Camp Randall Stadium is over 100 years old, but it didn't start out as the plucky little stadium for the Wisconsin football team. It began as a barracks and a training ground for Union soldiers. So we're going back to the Civil War.
Yeah, all you had to say was Union soldiers, and you're like, okay, that place is haunted.
Yeah, exactly. But it gets worse. Back then, there was a fierce abolitionist named Alexander Randall. He threatened that Wisconsin would secede if Abraham Lincoln didn't win the presidency and end slavery. After a major victory in April by the Union, a place was needed to house captured Confederate soldiers. More than 1,000 Confederate soldiers were sent to Camp Randall, but it was not prepared to accommodate so many prisoners. So viruses and illnesses began to quickly spread. The captured soldiers were then transferred to other places in June after 140 men died, and the dead were interred in a mass grave.
Oh, yeah, that's always helpful.
Yeah. You know, like a place of misery tends to have its ghost. Since then, Confederate soldiers have been seen all around the stadium.
That'd be a really weird thing just to see while you're out for sports.
Right.
Like, is that a Civil War reenactment going on here today?
Yeah. Am I drunk? Or are those Confederate soldiers in Wisconsin?
Can it be both?
I don't know, man. I guess only if they're prisoners.
There you go.
I have a little tidbit from somebody in that area. It says, just a few weeks ago, I was talking to a guy who's lived in Madison a long time and is head of security at a factory. He said one of his security officers came up to him and said, "You're not going to believe it. I saw a Confederate soldier walk through the room, and when I chased after it, there was nobody there." He thought it was crazy because he wasn't familiar with the history, but these are the type of stories you hear. So this factory was right outside of the stadium.
Yeah, and when you hear these types of things, You picture like a full embodiment of someone, like they're physically in the room, not like some like Star Wars hologram ghost or something, like kind of meandering through the room.
Yeah.
But like if it's enough to convince you to go after and look, they have to look pretty damn realistic.
Right.
Like they have to look like an actual human being dressed in, Confederate garb or whatever, just strolling through the room.
It's funny too, because the only video I've ever seen that convinced me maybe there are ghosts was
Gettysburg.
I don't think it might have been Gettysburg, but it was a video of
the hills, right?
A place that used to be, a Civil War battleground.
Yeah.
And you could just see like soldiers walking up into the tree line in ways they can't because of the terrain. And it just kept kind of like, it was like a repeating thing.
Yeah, it just kept playing out.
Yeah, looked like a video, something you'd see in a video.
Yeah.
So
there you go. You heard it here first. Christian does believe in ghosts.
One ghost story, possibly. Camp Randall Stadium was built in 1917, and it's been hosting football games for over 100 years.
So they still play there?
Yes.
Okay.
Tailgaters have described seeing spirits ahead of games, and they reportedly are usually seen wearing their uniforms, as well as various slings and bandages, and wandering in and out of the stadium, seemingly oblivious to the thousands of rowdy fans.
Can you say that last line again?
Yeah. And wandering in and out of the stadium, seemingly oblivious to the thousands of rowdy fans.
Yeah, well, it'd be even worse if they were like thrown off by it. Like they walk out, what the hell is this? What's happening? Where am I? What year is it? Who's president?
During the early 2000s, there was an undergrad student showing around his friend's 20-year-old sister who was visiting from Taiwan. She doesn't speak much English.
Apparently, either do you.
Yeah. Yeah, she doesn't speak much English, but seems to be having a good time. That is, until they got to the Lincoln statue. Then she becomes visibly terrified and says they have to go. The friend doesn't understand why, but later she tells her brother while they were standing there, two heads appeared behind Lincoln's. They were both smiling at her. The brother and the friend thought she was joking, but then they learned about the two men who had been buried there. They believed her after that.
Nah, that's creepy. Anytime a ghost is smiling at you, I don't care if the intentions are good or not. That is creepy.
I mean, even if it was a human just peeking around the Lincoln statue smiling at you.
So if you were to witness something like this in person, let's say you're at this stadium and you see, even if it was the previous one, just that dude walking through the room and you chase after and there's no one there, would you 100% believe in ghosts, or would you still find a way to convince yourself that maybe it's just your brain playing tricks on you? Or
I would probably go back and forth between the two. I'd probably try to figure out, how could this be a ghost? And also, am I losing my mind?
And you'd probably start, at that point, you'd probably, I imagine, maybe lay off the natty ices for a few moments.
Yeah. I've been trying to lay off that anyway.
Yeah.
Nobody should drink natty ice.
It do be like that.
Have you ever heard the phrase, do it for the Gipper?
Do it for the Gipper. I have actually. I don't know where or when, but that...
Probably an old film or something, because that's like an older saying.
The Gipper.
But I'm going to tell you a little bit about that.
Okay.
We're going to go to the University of Notre Dame in South Bend, Indiana, because it has a legendary ghost.
Is this ghost known as the Gipper?
It is.
Oh, interesting.
So now that we know that Notre Dame happens to be the home of a ghost, this ghost happens to be a football player.
Oh, nice.
His name was even mentioned on the presidential campaign trail by the godfather of the GOP, Ronald Reagan. We already established his name
was the Gipper.
Yeah, his real name was George Gipp. And we also have to go back 100 years or over 100 years again. And it was the George Gipp and Notre Dame had beat Northwestern University just a few days before. And the legend says that Gipp had missed curfew and was locked out of his dorm building. It was cold, and without other options, he decided to sleep on the steps outside of Washington Hall. Old school tough.
In Indiana?
Yeah.
That'd be pretty chilly.
In the fall?
Even that, pretty chilly, yeah.
The next day, he came down with pneumonia and died soon after.
Oh, R.I.P. Gipp.
Yep. Matthew Swain, the author of America's Haunted Universities, Ghosts That Roam Hollowed Halls, thinks the sleeping outside of the Washington Hall is just legend. Weeks before he was hospitalized, Gipp was teaching a teammate how to punt late at night and developed strep throat. Because there were no antibiotics at the time, he got progressively sicker and ultimately contracted pneumonia and succumbed to the illness.
Isn't that crazy how not that long ago, all you had to do to die was go punt outside at night for a little bit?
Right. We've come a long way. The author Swain also found an early story about the Gipper's ghost. He said, I was able to find a story from a student newspaper in 1926 or so. A student claimed he was awoken one night or early morning, and he went outside, and there he saw the ghost of George Gipp on a horse in front of that building. Other accounts have been about students hearing a horn blowing, and when they look for whoever is doing it, they can never find him. Some people think Gipp had this rebellious side and was a prankster, and this is just one of his pranks. In the end, Do It for the Gipper was a plea to his coach, Newt Rockney, from George Gipp's deathbed.
Do it for the Gipper. No, that's I'm having trouble grasping the Gipp on like atop a horse outside the building. Like when you're a ghost, you just have like access to whatever you want.
Maybe that's what he traveled on. I mean, that's early on in car days. Probably not too many people had cars back then.
Yeah, I guess that makes it a little. I'm picturing like modern day and him just on like a horse. Like, all right, on my way to the stadium. Clunk, 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 clunk. You know,
all those years I'd heard that because I think I even saw movies that said that before. You know, Reagan said something, used it. I would have never imagined it was a ghost story. So.
And here we are, uncovering the truth.
Yes.
Finally, after all this time.
Let's uncover some more truth. We're going to go to Canada.
Grab your shovels.
We're going to the Hockey Hall of Fame in Toronto, Canada.
The Hockey Hall of Fame.
Near and dear to my heart.
Of course.
And probably yours too.
Indeed.
The building that houses the Hockey Hall of Fame was originally built in 1885. It used to be the Bank of Montreal. In 1953, a former bank employee named Dorothea shot herself in the second floor women's restroom. She died the next day in the hospital.
Why'd she do it?
I'll get to that. But for years, people had called the ghost that seemed to favor the second floor restroom Dorothy. In 2009, the Toronto Star looked into the identity of the ghost, and soon they found the women many believed had been the one responsible for the haunting. So, from the Toronto Star, Paul McLaughlin, the Star has learned that she was Dorothea May Elliott, 19 years old. She shot herself early in the morning of Wednesday, March 11, 1953, and died 22 hours later at St. Michael's Hospital. So, over the years, other rumors emerged. One version accused her of having been caught stealing money. Another said she'd been discovered helping members of the Irish Republican Army who were planning to rob the bank to fund their cause back home. And a psychic several years ago said she was murdered because she had uncovered a scheme involving the bank manager, the chief of police, a leading judge, all of whom were embezzling money belonging to farmers.
It's always the chief of police.
Yep. You got
nowhere else to go. The chief of police.
Got to add them in there.
Oh, yeah.
What actually has been confirmed is that Dorothea was having an affair with the married branch manager who had an apartment at the bank. She was said to look like Rita Hayward, and she was orphaned at age 9. Lynn Redwood, the bank's messenger in 1953, described her in a 1982 interview as the life of the party and the most popular girl in the bank. He said she shot herself in the woman's second floor washroom with the bank's revolver, a .38 caliber, which was kept in his drawer. Years later, his son Vic said his late father told me that he and an ambulance attendant carried Dorothy downstairs, likely still alive, in a wooden Windsor-style chair. That chair was at my parents' cottage as late as 1990.
Weird. So what sport did Dorothy play?
She didn't play sports. She worked at the bank.
Oh, that used to be the...
Yeah, it was the Bank of Montreal when she did this.
That was the Hockey Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, I was like, wait a minute.
Yeah. Dorothy was a beautiful girl, tall and buxom, said Doreen Bracken. I wasn't very sophisticated at the time, but she was. The men liked her, eh?
Eh?
Definitely had to get the Canadian A in there. But this is also coming from the Toronto Star, so...
So it wouldn't be true Canadian journalism without the addition of A.
Yeah. Bracken remembered the day of the shooting. It came in about 8 a.m., and she was already there. Bracken noted that Dorothy, who was wearing a blue knit dress, looked distressed and disheveled. So there have been countless reports of strange occurrences in that building over the decade that are believed to be connected to Dorothy. Lights flicking on and off, doors and windows opening and closing for no apparent reason, and moans and screams and other eerie sounds echoing through the historic structure. Some staff and employees have heard footsteps when working alone at night. A few have felt a phantom hand on their shoulder or leg. She was the life of the party. Maybe that's what it is.
What, she was just a little floosy? Is that what you're saying, Christian?
I think that's what they called him in the 20s.
You judging?
No.
You judging Dorothea?
No.
Dorothea?
Dorothy sounds cool. Robin Hines, who formerly worked at the hall as a special events supervisor, had an encounter that spooked him. While preparing for an event, he entered a narrow kitchen that runs behind a second-floor conference room to get some coffee urns at around 6 a.m. A strong feeling as if being watched by someone, but different than that, he said, enticed him to enter the conference room, which was in darkness. One of the chairs, and this is the God's honest truth, was turning as if a breeze was in there. It actually moved right into my hand. I'm rather skeptical about ghosts, but I just freaked out and ran out of there. Probably what I'd do.
Yeah. I mean, why even investigate?
Yeah. Despite all the reports, only one other person is to believe to have actually seen the spirit. One summer, a young boy was visiting the Hall of Fame when he started screaming, "Don't you see her? Don't you see her?" Says Jane Rodney, who is the Hall's coordinator of Resource Center services at the time. He claimed a woman with long black hair was going in and out of the walls. Yeah. Dorothy's family does not speak about her death, nor would they comment for the article.
Yeah, what the hell, Dorothy? God, why are we just going in and out of the walls? Like, huh?
Yeah.
So, yeah, that would freak a kid out. He'd be like, what the? Mama.
I blame it on the bank manager for breaking her heart. Obviously, he was older than her, probably by a lot if he was a bank manager. She's 19.
He was probably at least 21.
35 or so.
Yeah. Ugh, no, that's creepy. I guess now we got to be on the lookout if we ever go to the Hockey Hall of Fame. Huh?
Oh, definitely. I'm going to the Hockey Hall of Fame someday.
You just got to browse. Keep an eye out for Dorothy.
Yeah, I'll be asking about her. Dorothy.
Like, have you seen Dorothy?
They'll be, all of a sudden you'll get a call. I got arrested in Canada for standing outside the second floor women's restroom saying Dorothy.
And I'll say, who's this?
Yeah.
It must be a wrong number.
We're going back to Wisconsin. The Pfister Hotel in Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
The Pfister Hotel?
Yeah. Pfister.
Okay, thank you for clarifying that.
Yeah. This one's going to be, it's kind of funny in a way, but if you are the Milwaukee Brewers of Major League Baseball, you can always add to your home field advantage by booking the visiting teams at a haunted hotel. Brilliant, I think. That's
some Scotty Bowman type shit.
Yeah. I would do it if I was coach or ran a team. In the late 19th century, Guido Pfister began work on his hotel.
His name surely wasn't Guido.
It was definitely Guido. Guido Pfister. You never heard that name before?
Guido Pfister? No, I can't say that I have.
I haven't heard those names put together, but
yeah, I'm not going to elaborate any further. Yeah. I think we'll leave that to the imaginations of everyone listening. It's fine.
He died a month before it opened. His son Charles took over where his father left off. It opened in 1893 and was a success. It hosted every U.S. president during its time, and son Charles Pfister put everything into that hotel. He had neither wife nor children, and he died in 1927, and guests have been seeing him since. And this one I found a little bit of information on ESPN.com.
Really?
Yes.
So it is sports related. We did it.
Yeah, for sure. Guests have described seeing an older, portly, well-dressed, smiling spirit who resembles Pfister's portrait, which is still hanging in the hotel.
That'd be kind of weird. You like see a portrait of this dude, you're like, oh, interesting. Then you're walking down a hallway and this same dude walks past you. You're like, wait, wasn't that the
Wouldn't it be
creator?
Weirder if it said, Guido Pfister, born in, died here, ran the hotel. Yeah. And then you like see him dressed in the same clothes down the hall and you're like, what the hell's going on?
That would actually be a great idea for actual hotel owners to put a portrait of themselves and have like the years underneath it, like they had died. And then just walk, or every time they're at work, just walk around in that outfit.
Yep.
See how many people freak the hell out.
Yeah, what you'd have to do is grow one of those like old school mustaches.
Handlebar mustache, yeah. Classic. Well, creating lists of things to do later in life. So
yes, we are. He has been spotted looking over the lobby, as well as various other parts of the hotel, and has become something of an adored figure in the city, complete with his own parody Twitter account. And I looked, and it is there.
And the tweets are all just, my name is Guido Fister.
It's weird stuff.
You don't say.
Kind of making fun of himself being a ghost.
Hmm.
I think when you know a little bit about Charles, it's not a surprise that he's the most seen apparition, says Anna Lardnois.
Since Anna Lardnois?
Yeah.
Oh, yes. One that we're all familiar with.
Yeah. Which she's a local historian, writer, and founder of Gothic Milwaukee. All of the ghost stories we hear are really just about him trying to delight people. When people report that they see him, it's usually in conjunction with something in the atmosphere of the room changing, like lights brighten or dim, curtains open or close, and it really seems like he's just trying to make the hotel experience as wonderful as it could be.
That's very wholesome.
Unless you're terrified of ghosts. It's pretty well known if you're a Milwaukee brewer and you stay at the Fister, you're going to sleep like a tiny angel, little tiny angel. But if
you can't promise that.
Yeah, but if you're playing against the Brewers, it's reportedly supposed to be a very rough night.
Yeah.
Players like Bryce Harper, Giancarlo Stanton, and Justin Upton have publicly discussed having their clothes thrown around the room, furniture being moved, or the radio randomly turning on.
Wait, what? Like they're visibly seeing this, or they like wake up to it or come back to the room to it?
It just says they've all publicly discussed it, and these are all pretty famous baseball players.
Yeah, that'd be kind of creepy.
Yep. Stanton compared it to the Haunted Mansion at Walt Disney World in its creepiness. In 2013, Mike Young, then a member of the Texas Rangers, recalled having an experience he had at the hotel in a story for ESPN, the magazine. He's like, oh, F that place. Listen, I'm not someone who spreads ghost stories, so if I'm telling you this, it happened. A couple of years ago, I was lying in bed after a night game, and I was out. My room was locked, but I heard footsteps inside the room stomping around. I'd heard all the stories about the hotel, so I was wide awake at that point. And then I heard it again, these footsteps on the floor. So I yelled out, hey, make yourself at home, hang out, have a seat, but do not wake me up, okay? After that, I didn't hear a thing for the rest of the night. I just let him know he was welcome, that we could be pals, and that he could marinate in there for as long as he needed to, just as long as he didn't wake me up.
Weird.
I got to be honest, I never expected to find a ghost story on ESPN.com.
I know, yeah, that is actually probably the one place you would definitely not direct people to who are looking for ghost stories.
No.
Like, well, you're definitely not going to want to visit ESPN.com because that you will most likely never find.
That was actually one of the first stories I found, too, when I was looking into this.
That's kind of funny, though. But you'd think if the ghost was trying to distract or, like, you know, make sure the opposing players didn't enjoy their stay there, that he wouldn't listen when the player was like, make yourself at home, just don't wake me up. He'd be like, oh, okay, yeah, sure, pal.
Yeah.
Sure, guy.
Maybe this ghost has been misunderstood all this time. Maybe if you just treated it civilly or let him know he's making too much noise, he'd realize it and just quiet down.
He's like, all right, the gig's up.
Yep. Sorry, sir. There's another hotel like this, the Skirvin Hotel in Oklahoma City. So now we're on to basketball. Tim Hardaway Jr., Eddie Curry, and Metta World Peace have experienced the ghost of the Skirvin Hotel. Kylie Irving produced a movie based on the hotel. The Skirvin Hotel was said to be the place to be during the Prohibition. Everyone knew if you wanted alcohol, it could be found along with the wild parties on the 10th floor of the hotel. The hotel's founder and owner, W.B. Skirvin, was known to be a womanizer, as most men were back then, probably.
How old is this?
I think this is 20s. I don't have the date.
No, say.
Oh, around like 1907, I think. Many refer to the ghost of a woman named Effie as the primary spirit to walk the halls. As legend goes, the hotel's founder and owner, Skirvin, had an affair with a maid named Effie, who became pregnant with his child. In hopes of avoiding public disgrace, he locked her in a room on the 10th floor throughout her pregnancy so she wouldn't be seen.
Well, that sounds really lovely.
Yeah, such a pleasant family story.
Sorry I knocked you up, lady. Stay in here.
Yeah, we do not call this prison.
Yeah, stay in here and think about what I've done.
Yeah. After giving birth, she was so despondent by her situation that she jumped out the window with her baby in their arms and plunged to her death.
Well, that's not the way to do it.
Nope. Guests have reported seeing a female ghost with long dark hair, as well as hearing a baby's cries at all hours of the nights.
It'd be really unfortunate if the ghost was spotted with the baby in like the window or something like that. You imagine how many phone calls the police would get in that area or the front desk?
That would be traumatizing.
I know, you'd be like, what the hell, somebody?
Even if it was a ghost, you'd be traumatized.
Yeah. Even if it was just a baby, you'd be traumatized.
Yeah. Bad news either way. I think it goes back to the days of Prohibition, which started in Oklahoma in 1907 when we got our statehood, says Jeff Provine. He's the author of several books about Oklahoma City and the state's haunted history, as well as the founder of the OKC Ghost Tour. The Skirvin was a luxury hotel of Oklahoma City and had all these rich and famous folks coming in, and of course they wanted to keep them entertained. The story was that if you wanted to get a drink in downtown Oklahoma City, you could go to the top floor of the Skirvin Hotel. Some visitors have reported seeing spirits that look like Skirvin or his daughter, Pearl Mesta, who became the American ambassador to Luxembourg under President Harry Truman in 1949. Other visitors don't see anything specifically, but feel like they are not alone. There was one guy who said he saw the foot of his mattress in his room depress, as if someone was sitting on it.
No, that's a no from me.
Yeah, you've had experience like that, right?
No, but a buddy of mine has. Like, the guy I used to go to the gym with, his house or his apartment was hella haunted, and that was one of the experiences he had. Yeah. Creepy.
That would be creepy. There was also someone else who woke up in the middle of the night because he heard his bathroom door slam shut. He was spooked, but he decided to check out the bathroom. And in it, he finds the light on and the bathtub filled with water, just to the point of spilling over. There have been so many stories like this that just have no rational explanation.
Yeah.
I don't know, man.
Spooky.
Now in Rochester, New York, there's a place called Frontier Field. And this one, psychic paranormal researchers officially declared Frontier Field home of the Rochester Red Wings, a minor league baseball team, haunted in 2004.
It's been verified, folks.
Yep.
We've got a haunted baseball team here.
Yep. Rochester paranormal researcher Joe Burkhart and a psychic medium, Cindy Lee, toured the grounds and encountered a variety of guests. It encountered a variety of ghosts referred to as Caspers in the trade. Have you watched a lot of ghost shows? Is that what they call them?
I don't really watch those ghost shows. If they're walking around back, yeah, we got some Caspers out here. Like, okay, this is not the show for me.
Yeah.
But I mean, I wouldn't be surprised.
That's offensive.
That is offensive. And maybe that's why they don't get more evidence.
Yeah. Lee was greeted by friendly apparitions, while Burkhart discovered some a little more hostile. The Caspers were very curious about us, Burkhart said. They literally came out of the woodwork and started coming toward us.
That's creepy.
Yeah. But
if they came out of the woodwork is floor, correct?
Yes, I believe so.
Like a wooden floor?
Yeah, I think it means anything wood now to people, but...
Yeah. No, they came out of the woodwork.
Yeah.
You mean this chest of drawers? Yes, I do.
An employee of the Red Wings said bones were discovered when the stadium was being built in 1995.
And they were just like, this is fine.
Yeah.
We'll put it right here.
Let's go outside of the country.
I feel much safer here.
You will after this story. Ghazi Stadium.
Ghazi.
In Kabul, Afghanistan.
I was going to say that sounds like something you'd find in Afghanistan.
Yeah. So you already know it's going to be scary. During the late 1990s, the stadium was used as a venue for public execution by the Taliban government. And
that is not the sport that you want to be participating in.
Right. It was said the souls of those who lost their lives inside the stadium still haunt the ground.
Wait, I'm sorry. Are you going to start talking about headless ghosts right now?
No.
Okay, good. Please continue.
But they probably are. It has caused some to avoid the ground at all costs at night. Now nobody comes here in the evening. Even we don't go inside, said Nabil Kwari, a security guard. Everyone believes the place is haunted, that the souls of the dead people are not at rest even now. The stadium underwent a major renovation and was reopened in 2011, transforming the former death and torture venue into one reborn as Afghan Sporting Hope. But now the Taliban run the place again, so we know what sport they're going to be playing.
Damn it.
Yeah.
We're back, full circle.
Mm-hmm. You know, I didn't think about that kind of thing, but man, Afghanistan's got to have a lot of ghosts in their stadiums.
Can you imagine if there's just a sect of people in our country going around chopping heads off people?
In our country?
Yeah.
That would be kind of strange.
That would be very strange.
I'm glad we don't live in a place like that.
You and me both. Yet.
Could happen, though. You've heard of Chicago's Wrigley Field, right? Let's go a little bit less dark.
I have.
It's got its own spooky story. And this one's kind of hilarious in a way to me. You know, like when the bullpen phones, when the coach wants to take the pitcher out.
Yeah. You see, they always cut to him on the camera with his little phone talking. You're like, okay.
Yeah. So this one, security guards who patrol the park say the bullpen phones ring late at night when the ballpark is empty. There's a legend that it's the Cubs player and manager Charlie Grimm calling the bullpen to make pitching changes.
Meanwhile, nobody answers, and he's like, what the hell, guys? We're in the middle of a big game here.
Right. And the bullpen phone goes only from the dugout to the bullpen.
Yeah.
So, you know, you figure if you're a security guard, you could see one. You could see the phone in the dugout pretty much. Some security personnel also hear their names being called out, or they see Grimm in the hallways.
Now, let me ask you this. Has anyone ever answered that phone?
They didn't say.
Because that'd be really interesting if you answer and someone's like, all right, we need this guy.
Let me put it this way. If you're standing down in the bullpen as a security guard, the phone rings, you know baseball, so you look down to the dugout and you see the phone that the coach would normally call you on and nobody's on it. Would you answer that phone?
Yes.
Would you?
I would. That's certain, like not every time, obviously, but the curiosity at some point will get the best of you where you're like, you know what? I kind of have to know what's going on here.
What if you picked it up and it's like, now I know who you are. We'll be together soon.
They're like, I know what you did last summer.
Yeah.
Like, wait a second. What? This is a crossover. No.
Sports crossover.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I have to at some point, right? You hear this phone ringing constantly. You're like, okay. So at some point, I'm going to get to the bottom of this myself. Otherwise, I'm scared.
Yeah. Some people believe that Grimm's ashes are buried in the left center field.
Otherwise known as left field.
No, left center, in between.
Come on. That's left. That's far. That's right left field.
I don't think it is, man.
I think it could be. I think I'm making a valid argument for it.
Let's ask baseball players out there. You been to Dodger Stadium?
I honestly can't remember. I don't think so. I've been to Jethawk Stadium a bunch of times, for whatever that's worth.
Totally different.
And not worth much.
No, but they do have a cool jet out front of it.
And some hawks that can be seen occasionally.
Do they?
I don't know. I was just trying to contribute.
I went to Dodger Stadium a lot when I was younger. It's said to have many ghosts.
Many ghosts?
Many ghosts.
Many tiny ghosts? Cute little baby ghosts?
Many
ghosts.
Not Manny. Whatever.
Multiple ghosts.
Multiple ghosts, including a couple on their honeymoon who plummeted to their deaths from a hillside overlooking the City of Angels.
Why?
Maybe they were hanging out.
Accidental?
Yeah. Many Dodgers employees reported seeing a woman dressed in white diving over the cliff.
That is traumatizing.
Yeah. Others say the field is haunted by the souls from the Hebrew Benevolent Society, whose cemetery was moved to make room for the stadium's parking lot.
Classic.
Yeah. Other people, here, this part's not ghost related, but it's our pod related. Other people reported stories about the stadium's underground vaults and tunnels, whereas lizard people live below the stadium in one of the 3 lost cities of the Hopi people.
It's been a while since we've even mentioned lizard people, so it's always good to bring that back around.
Yeah, when I saw that, I was like, oh yeah, that's one step.
Yeah, and we do have to have a lizard person episode. This is just a friendly reminder.
Indiana's University Memorial Stadium, known as The Rock, is supposedly haunted by an IU student. Michael Plume is his name. During construction of the stadium, Plume was found hanging from scaffolding.
That's not a place you want to be hanging from.
Nope. Plume's shoes were polished and the soles of his shoes were clean, even though he supposedly had walked a mile from his dorm room to the stadium, which was a construction site with mud and dust. Investigators ruled his death a suicide by broken neck and asphyxiation. However, when the body was later exhumed, it was determined he did not have a broken neck. Workers claimed to have seen a ghostly figure hanging from the same location where Plume's body was found.
Nah.
Yeah.
Bad enough coming across a someone that has hanged themselves, but then finding like a ghost
Yeah.
hanging itself, that's creepy on creepy. That's layers of creepy you got to peel back like an onion just to figure out whether or not you're terrified. And the answer is always yes.
Yeah. And that's when you like would get to the point like, why am I seeing this?
Yeah. You're like, why is this for me?
Yeah.
What am I going to do about this? Nothing? Well, thanks.
But wouldn't you feel like you had to do something if you saw something like that?
Yeah. The something that I would have to do is one of two things, either pee my pants or run away. And I might actually hit you with a twofer and do both. So,
yeah, I understand. Just got a few more short stories here. In Columbus, Ohio, nationwide arena has been built on the site of the deadliest prison fire in U.S. history.
Why? Do you think research the locations these things are going on, or do you think they're just like, this looks good?
No, I think they do, especially because some of these places, in cities like that have been around for a while.
Yeah.
They tear down things and build something new.
It's just weird.
Yeah.
Seems like a weird flex. Like, especially even if you don't believe in ghosts, someone in that crew building that building is like, oh, this is bad juju.
Well, I mean,
like at least they're like, we should be doing this.
If there's ghosts, they're at a prison. There's a lot of misery there. So not surprising. Yeah. The fire killed more than 300 prisoners, and people claim the smell of smoke, the sound of men screaming and pacing their cells, and the sounds of the flames burning the prison can still be heard, particularly around the parking garage. Others say ghostly figures could be seen only in the ruins of an old building. I'm trying to think which one Nationwide Arena is, but
Nationwide is on your side.
That is true. Unless there's a ghost, then you're on your own. I thought I might throw in a couple football, but in this case, soccer.
Football.
At Highbury Stadium, Arsenal FC, I don't know what FC stands for.
Football club.
Oh, yeah, that's probably what it is. It's the former home of the Arsenal FC, and it's haunted by Herbert Chapman, Arsenal's most successful pre-war manager. He is said to have been spotted on the grounds of this former stadium with a horse that died during construction.
Another ghost of the horse?
Yep.
What's the horse doing for construction?
Probably pulling things around back when it was originally built. In addition to Chapman's presence, Highbury Stadium also features the ashes of other Arsenal fans, furthering this suspicion of the supernatural presence at the site. Reminds me of that. I think it was it Disneyland, where the mom put the her son's ashes outside, and then people saw that son afterwards.
Was that Haunted Mansion, or was that?
Yeah, that's what it was.
Yeah.
So
it was like at the end of the ride or something like that.
Yeah.
Like, well, what a dumb place to put it.
Yeah.
Put it at the beginning, lady. What are you thinking?
Yeah, when you got all the anticipation and a hope afterwards, you're like, oh, now I had to go back to normal life where my mom and dad drink a lot and don't pay any attention to me. On we go to St. Mary's Stadium, which is the home of the Southampton FC.
And where are these?
England, I think.
Yeah. I was just assuming, but nice to double check.
Yeah. So fans visiting St. Mary's Stadium find themselves anxiously alarmed by the presence of spirits moving objects within the venue. To combat this presence, an actual witch was brought in to ward off the spirits and bring tranquility to the fans.
There you go.
Have you seen soccer fans? I would never say that there's tranquility in that kind of passion.
Yeah, I actually recently came across an article, and I'm not a big soccer or football guy at all, or even remotely close at all. But there was an article about the recent World Cup, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that witches in Argentina were what were they doing? They were
hexing the other team?
No, they were essentially keeping Messi safe.
Oh.
And so but apparently a lot of witches were coming together to keep Messi safe. And
I guess it worked.
Yeah. I mean, I read that. I was like, wow, whatever works for you, I guess.
I mean, there's that story of World War II when all the witches in England basically went out and did a ceremony to protect them from Germany, from the planes coming over from Germany.
Do you think they took full credit for that?
I think they took If I remember the story correctly, I think they took partial credit for it.
They're like, hey, I don't want to say it was all us, but I mean, we definitely contributed.
Yeah, Winston Churchill even asked us to do this. So it was sanctioned by the government at the time.
Government witchcraft.
Yep. which
It usually flies under a different name, just regular old politics, but
it's all the same. I have a story about the Stadium of Light, Sunderland AFC. Sunderland doesn't sound like England, but could be. Years ago, staff members at the Stadium of Light spotted a dim shape in the corridor. Shortly thereafter, Sunderland's then striker, Stephen Elliott, witnessed the same figure, causing a number of teammates to believe the venue was haunted. The venue haunting this venue is believed to be a stranded 18th century French sailor named Spotty.
good old Spotty.
Yeah, who would guide ships crash into the coastal rocks.
He would guide them to crash into they usually have an opposite job.
This guy must not have been nice. Maybe it is
not
England.
that great at being spotty.
Yeah, maybe it is England. And since he's French and they've had years of being enemies, maybe he was just looking out for France.
I mean, I guess.
Yeah.
Weird flex, though.
Yeah. There's also one, and it's not really a story, but at Majewski Stadium, it is said that their losing record is to be blamed on Henry I, whose remains were discovered by archaeologists. So you're going way back to Henry I.
Yeah, it's quite a ways back.
Yeah. So, but also, if you have a losing record, who better to blame it on than a ghost?
And
not
Henry I.
Yeah, especially Henry I.
Yeah.
I don't know, man.
Interesting.
There wasn't too much on the soccer ones, but
Just kind of like a rough draft or a little.
I think if we dig
bullets.
into some stuff like that, especially because, I mean, when you go to places like England or Europe, they got a lot of ghosts.
Yeah, that is true.
Yeah. So it's not like us Americans with their teenage history,
Exclusively with our Civil War ghosts.
Yeah.
It gets old, Civil War ghosts, spice it up.
And then they're all angry at you because of what they sacrificed and went through.
And you're just on Twitter.
Yeah. You know what they used to do before they cut off my leg? Give me some alcohol and a piece of wood to chew on.
Yeah.
We had no painkillers back then.
The only painkiller was the sweet, sweet embrace of death.
Exactly. Civil War ghost or something else.
Yeah. Maybe that's why they all look curmudgeon-y.
I mean, wouldn't you be if you were stuck out fighting in a war like
I'm
that?
going to be honest with you. I am right now, and things aren't terrible.
Yeah.
So,
You don't even have people shooting at you.
yeah. So if that was the case, I can only imagine what my RBF would transform into.
I wouldn't be surprised in the future to see us find more stories like this,
Yeah.
even related to sports. I'm sure there's more out there. This was just a quick look
Yeah.
with some interesting stories.
Now, did you have a favorite story that you came across?
I did like the Hockey Hall of Fame one.
Yeah.
Just because it was like it was almost like a film you would watch from back then because, the old bank manager, maybe even married with a wife at home, but sometimes worked late in the city. Had an
he
apartment
definitely
at the
worked
bank.
late in the city.
That one was just so tragic.
Yeah.
And everybody loves the ghost in the bathroom. So I don't know.
I know when I hear people murmuring about their love of ghosts, it's usually about the ones located in the bathroom.
I mean, they even put it on Harry Potter. So
Harold Potter?
no.
Moaning Myrtle.
Yeah,
You know, it's
exactly.
weird. Never even saw them.
I'm impressed that you knew that.
Yeah. Oh, I did play the game
Did you?
a little bit, like the Pokemon Go style
Oh, okay.
Wizarding World.
I didn't know that.
China got hella into that game so of course I had to play it. Like she was like, let's go play the Harry Potter. I was like,
That
okay.
makes sense.
And then she'd get mad when I get like the really good shit. And she'd be like, I can't find him. Or he got away.
I didn't even know Harry Potter had that. That's pretty cool.
Really? I thought you played it a little bit too.
And I played the other one.
Pokemon Go?
Yeah.
No, yeah, the Harry Potter one was pretty dope. But it was harder because you didn't just like throw a ball and try to catch something. You actually had to like, the finger movement was like the spell that you had to cast.
Oh,
So we were probably actually doing witchcraft, and maybe I shouldn't have, but it is what it is. It's in the past.
Hey, I've been to the Wizarding World at Universal Studios. So
They put you in a robe and say, you're a wizard, Christian.
No, but it was fun to watch people walk around to these different areas with their wands and have to do the right motion to get something to happen. It was kind of cool.
Yeah.
What was coolest about it is how they made these buildings look huge, like they would if they were real.
Yeah.
At Universal Studios. So,
Well, it is movie magic there, so it makes sense that they'd have that ability.
soon to come on the Freaky Deaky Haunted Amusement Parks Part 2.
Part 2.
Well, we did Disneyland.
Yeah.
There's got to be more. There's a lot of amusement parks in this world.
Yeah. Disneyland was pretty brief, though. That was just a little summer break segment.
Yeah.
So it would be interesting to kind of go over some other stuff. I mean, look, there's a lot of tragedies that take place in amusement parks as well.
Yeah.
Or carnivals or anything fairs with the equipment that gets thrown up in 12 hours.
Yeah.
Hey, let's load this Ferris wheel up with as many people as we can. It wasn't up there 2 hours ago, but it's up now. It looks fine. Not rickety at all. Get in there, sport.
Yeah. We haven't been drinking and doing drugs before we put this up.
Yeah.
So where's the first place haunted sports place you want to go to?
Oh, it'd definitely be the Hockey Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
The Hall of Fame. The Hall of Fame. Because, I mean, everything else is boring in comparison.
Yeah. I've been to Dodger Stadium many times, but never saw Ghost. But I think there's also stories because there was a large Hispanic community that lived in that area that were basically forced out of their homes so that they could build Dodger Stadium.
That kind of checks out.
Yeah. I don't know the full story. I just remember hearing about it. It's also where you find the Police Academy, which was made famous in a couple of movies.
The Police Academy movies.
Yes.
Yeah.
Probably two totally different things, but...
Very different things, yes. Very different things. Yeah, I don't know. That was the only hockey story in there, right? It was the Hall of Fame?
Yes.
Yeah. So, of course, it's going to be my favorite. I can't be rooting for no baseball or football.
I got to be honest, there's got to be more hockey because hockey's been around a long time.
It has, yeah.
So is baseball and football, but hockey's different.
Hockey is different.
I'd love to hear those ghost stories.
Me too. So if you're a hockey player out there, be sure to write into the gang at thefreakydeaky.com. I actually did. I think it was Brandon Dubinsky bought some product from me at some point.
Are you serious?
Yeah, it was either him or his brother.
I played in a game or in a tournament with his brother.
What's his brother's name? It might have been his brother, but I do remember looking it up and being like, why does that name sound so familiar? And I was like, oh shit. And it was like the exact same town and stuff too. It was like,
yeah, it was
nice.
It was kind of like he skated up to the bench because he got there late.
Like, you look like you're a real hockey player. What are you doing here?
Well, I was like, he looks just like Brandon Dubinsky, but it was the middle of the hockey season. I'm like, that's when he was still playing. And he's
like, surely he wouldn't take a break to come play this pickup tournament.
And then I asked somebody and he's like, oh, that's so-and-so Dubinsky. And I'm like, oh, okay, that makes sense then. He was good.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, I wish I could remember what the name was. Either way, that's not what this show's about.
Show's about Ghost, this particular show.
Brought to you by the time a hockey player bought beard oil off of me. Good night, everyone. No, that's... Yeah. So anyway, that wraps up this episode. You know, we like to keep it fresh. We like to take on different subjects. There was times we did janitors, haunted, all kinds of fun stuff. There's tons of interesting stories out there, and a lot more than you'd think for certain subjects.
Right.
Sports included.
Yeah, I was surprised how many I found, and I could have probably found more, but those were some of the most interesting ones, and I thought that was enough to get us through, at least this first time.
Yeah.
But
yeah, it'd be interesting what we kind of do now is, you know, we've covered a lot of stuff, but the further we keep going with the podcast, if we find something like, oh, we should have put this in that one episode, we just kind of set it aside and be like, we'll start accumulating more stories for another, like a part 2 of anything. We've done it with Ouija board stuff, all kinds of stuff.
Or we'll put together a video if it's just one story here and there.
Yeah.
And if you like something, or if you want to hear us talk about something, don't be afraid to suggest it. We've done a couple shows on suggestions from our listeners.
Shout out Jeremy.
They're always fun.
They are. Yeah, we are always thrilled to hear from you guys. So send in any episode suggestions or paranormal experiences you've had yourself to the gang at thefreakydeaky.com. And again, find us on social media at Freaky Deaky Pod. I think by the time we're a couple weeks ahead, but by the time this episode comes out is when we'll be announcing the winner of the beanie. So I'll wait till tomorrow or this weekend when this episode comes out, the following weekend, to announce the winner. So if you still haven't shared the show on social media, do it. Write a funny caption about why you like the show. Take a screenshot of it and DM us on Instagram or Facebook to enter. That's all you have to do. And get yourself a nice beanie. In the meantime, not sure what's coming down the pipe next week, but it will be a mystery and it will be freaky, and you are going to love every single second of it. So, Christian, any closing words?
No real closing words.
There you have it.
Just let us know if you've been haunted.
Let it snow if you've been haunted.
Yeah.
So,
cursed. Yeah. We've been haunted by snow.
Yeah, we have. It's not fun. And I don't want to talk about it anymore, Christian. It's fine.
You didn't drive in that one day like I did.
Oh, I drove in enough. But yeah, I can't imagine that. That was not fun.
That was the worst I've ever driven in. And I drove in Prudhoe Bay during Bay's conditions.
Yeah.
So.
That's true. That's true. So if you want to hear more about that, listen to Christian's Snow podcast.
Yeah.
Coming this summer.
Perfect time for snow.
Yeah, great time to post a snow podcast. Anyway, I'm dragging on at this point. Good night, everyone. We'll see you next week right here on the Freaky Deaky. Goodbye.